people, I feel they start to think about where they're going wrong within their life, and people have all kinds of issues, whether that is them being afraid to step out on faith, whether that is taking uh, chances into different things. Um, and I often think that a lot of that comes from the lack of knowing what will be if they do not succeed. And sometimes when we get to this point in our mind, we like to stay in this safe space, as I like to call it, that safe space. The things that are tangible, the things that are seen. Um, but it's those times when you are willing to take the risk. Uh, think about when you get up every day, or you go outside, you go to work, or you get on an airplane. You are taking a risk. Uh, you're not thinking about the fact that you may not land, or you're not thinking about the fact that you may not come home. But for some purpose or some reason, when we feel that we don't have control over things that we should have control over, we get afraid to take those chances. Just think if the leaders throughout the city of Philadelphia, the leaders throughout the country, was willing to take a chance on the common man or the common woman. Think about how vibrant we would be in society. I even think that race plays a part as well in fear. And the reason I say that, I think that people are so afraid to take chances on one another, to see people for who they really are, to realize that it's not about the color of your skin, it's not about the height of a person, the educational level of a person, but more about the inside of a person. And when we talk about being risk takers, we have to put down our walls and reflect on how we see ourselves as being. I often have conversations with people, and I say, when we're talking about relationships, and I hear some people say, well, I got all my stuff together, and I'm ready to make change, or not to make change, but I'm ready to be in a relationship. And I say, well, how do you know if you're ready to be in one if you're not allowing somebody to come in your life and give you constructive criticism? Being in relationships, you have to be able to be willing to take constructive criticism. And all this ties into taking risks. And when you're hurting, those risks that you once took become more limited now, or to a point where you don't feel that you can go through any more pain. But that's why the world is the way that it is today, because we are so afraid to endure pain. And sometimes pain is there to make you, to shape you. What about the pain that you were supposed to go through? Those risks that God already knew that you were going to go through something, but you were to be matured, strengthened, shaped, formed through this pain, but you tried to block it, and then something else happens to you. Those are the things that may not been meant for you, but because you were too busy trying to remove yourself from what was supposed to be, now you have to still go through it, but just in a different way. If we're honestly going to take hold of all of the blessings that are out there for us, we must be risk takers. We can't go around being afraid to let people see who we are. Not on social media when you're posting pictures and you're smiling just for that second. But what happens after the pictures are taken? Do you still smile? Are you still happy? Are you still willing to take a risk? Listen, yesterday was just my birthday, and I had a birthday gathering. And a young lady came up to me and she said, you know, why aren't the men saying anything? And, you know, do they have to build up courage to say something? And I said, well, do you have to build up courage to say something to him? Because are you afraid that if you give this person the eye, that he may reject you? So does it make you feel more comfortable for him to say something to you to make you feel empowered to say something back? Sometimes you have to take that leap of faith and say something or do something that's courageous. We have to be courageous individuals. We have to be change agents. And I believe that once we get to this place, I believe that our children, our communities will change. We can't always sit and talk about the what if factor. Or look at this individual, or look at that individual. Why are all these things happening? Why can't we stop the killings? Why can't we come together? And that is simply because we are afraid of those things that are unseen. There's a scripture that says, blessed is he who have not seen but yet believe. Imagine if you saw without fully seeing, but because you was able to see the blessing on the other side, you basically talked it into existence. And when we get to that place of not being afraid to fail, we have already won the battle. And I think that media plays a part in fear as well, because everything that you see is negativity. All you see is people doing wrong, and sometimes that makes you feel like there's no hope. There's no need to keep going. But when you get in that place of not believing that life can still exist, that people still can be good, that's why you're in that safe space. But something's going to happen to bring you out of that safe space. And that could be a family member dying. That could be you losing something. That could be you just wanting to gain something. But you can't play peekaboo. You have to go full force with that. Because these young people are going directly at things. But they don't have the wisdom that some of us have because we've lived longer. We know the traps. But if we are not showing them the traps, if we're not showing them that they can reach for the stars, but this is how they do it because we don't even know how to do it, we have failed them. And in order for us to commune with our young people and with one another, we must take time to understand where we went wrong, the root of our problems. Whether you was in a bad relationship and that pain was so severe that you felt as if there was no way out, you have to be healed. You can't party the pain away. You can't sex the pain away. But you have to learn why the pain came in your life. And then lastly, we look at where we are in society, and we see all of the hateful, evil things that are going on around us. And we may think that there's no end to this, but there is an end. We have to believe that we can speak greatness over our city, over our communities, over our neighborhoods, over ourselves. But every time we say something that is negative, or we allow that change that we really want to implement to go by the wayside because of something that is whispered to you or something that you may have seen, you lose out. Our young people are counting on us. Heck, people who are of the same age bracket as we are, those who are older, we're all counting on one another. But now we have to count on ourselves to do it. We can't wait for elected officials to pull us out of a rut. We can't wait for our spiritual leaders to pull us out of a rut. You are grown and you know right from wrong. It is your job to pull yourself out and then to help the next person. So, everyone, understand that you are a risk taker and that you have overcame your fears. I am Farid Abdullah. Thank you for listening. Follow me. Facebook at Farid Abdullah. Instagram at Farid _Counsel. Thank you.